Okay, this video will be about my reflection on my teaching demonstrations. So this was in class, Education 1010. My first lesson was a team teaching lesson, and it was with Sydney Christensen. We've been best friends for so long, so super fun to plan with her, and it was the best time. We loved planning it. We loved getting together the day before, planned for like 4 hours. We loved it. And my second lesson was just a solo lesson, and it was on chapter 11, which I loved. I loved both the times I taught. I felt like I learned more than I did throughout the whole semester, and I'm super excited about that because as I learned through this class that as you're teaching, you're learning as you're going, because you have to really know that like content in order for it to make sense for the students, and in order for you to have a lesson plan or curriculum or tests and quizzes and for you to explain it. Or if kids have questions, you need to know that super well. So I love that aspect about teaching because it's just helping me learn, and not just like, oh, I need to go study, look at this textbook. Like, no, you're actually studying it, learning it, so then you can teach it, which is super, super good. So I think I honestly might apply this in some of my classes, is having the kids reteach it to other kids, because I think that's super helpful. So yeah, first, me and Sid's team teaching lesson. I had so much fun. I thought it went very well. I loved how we brought in drinks, and we did. We brought in drinks, and see these Torani syrups. Sorry, they're in the back, but we had the Torani syrups, and then we also had soda, and we brought cups and ice and creams, and so it's kind of like a soda shop type vibe. And we created drinks for everyone and let everyone choose. And we had a lot of variety with writing on the board and using a PowerPoint. At the end, it got a little boring with the lecture, but I think that was our only fault. We could have had people read off the screen or read off the slides. Might have been a little more fun, but I loved writing on the board. I've always loved writing on the board. So I made this little bubble chart with like effective school in the middle, and then like the different aspects of effective school. Like, I still remember it. So that was super fun, and it looked so good, and I was like, yes. But let's see what we wrote on here. So we said strengths observed were the discussion. We had a variety of activities, and we did all the things. We had an assessment. So that was super good. And then suggestions for improvement was a lot. You've probably noticed me saying it in this video. I don't know, maybe not. But I've been working on it. So we're working on that. I would love to be a super well-rounded speaker that doesn't say like and a ton. So we're working on it. But the other thing was struggle to formulate words, which this comes in where you really need to know the content. Because if you really know the content, then you'll be able to know exactly what you're saying. So I think if I would have had a little more prep time, that's one thing I would have changed. Yeah, so I thought our lesson was super fun, super good. Everyone had a lot of energy. We had a lot of participation. So I loved that. Let's see if there's any other questions. Yeah, I think it went super well. So switching a little bit over, which also with me and Sid's lesson real fast, we had this lesson plan that Miss Lewis provided. And then we also, personally, I made this, but we worked on it together. I made a lesson plan like this with 1, 2, 3, 4, the prep for the class, what materials we needed to bring, the discussion, who was saying what, which slide. So fun. Loved making that. And I felt like it helped it be a lot more organized. So loved that. So moving on to my solo lesson. I was so excited. I wanted to make something fun because I feel like we had a lot of lectures the previous lessons. So I was like, what can I do? And so I read my little section, and it was talking about direct instruction. And so I was like, I should do an example of direct instruction. So I didn't really know. I was like, should I teach math? No, I don't, I like math, but I'm not about to teach it to everyone. That's kind of boring. So I was like, I should teach a game. And so I decided to teach speed. Luckily, a lot of the class knew how to play, and a lot of people caught on super quick. But I loved how I had the little instruction video, and I had people asking. I also incorporated the equitable distribution, prompting, feedback, all of those things with questioning that were also in my chapter. So I thought I was super proud and impressed with myself for including all of that, to then go back and reflect and be like, what did you guys see? Or which Miss Lewis did write down that was background. No, not that. Where is it? She wrote it down somewhere, but there's a word for it. Let's see. I think it's something like background or like backwards teaching, where you first like gave an example and then connect it back. So I was like, oh my gosh, I just did something kind of fun. So I loved that. And the game was super fun. Everyone participated. And I also thought, I'm kind of just hyping myself up, but I thought it was super good how I was able to be like, hey, like if you aren't in the bracket anymore, like play with someone else. And if someone wasn't playing, I'd be like, hey, you and you, like let's you guys can pair up and play while blah 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 are playing, you know? So that was super fun. The one bad thing is I did forget the prize for the winner. And it's kind of like everyone's a winner, you know? And that's when I pulled everyone back and was like, let's take deep breaths, because everyone was kind of like antsy. It's a speedy game because it's speed, you know? So I liked that. My one thing that I feel like I needed to work on a little bit is my transitions in between, because I had several activities, like a variety, because I also read a book, which was so fun. Everyone got so into it. And I also just thought it was a fun like elementary school vibe, because I want to be an elementary school teacher, to read a book in front of everyone and like flip the page, you know? And somehow this book literally worked perfectly. And everyone says like justice for T-Bone, like the little dog in the book, because the teacher wasn't being very nice to him. And she literally did questioning, she did direct instruction, like the whole shebang. It was awesome. But the transition into that was a little rough. I could have like connected the dots a little more instead of just like, okay, we're gonna do this now, you know? So the other thing again was just my loss for words. Sometimes I jumble up on my words, or I struggle to know what I'm trying to say. So that's definitely things I can work on, and I feel like will come over time as I keep teaching and practicing and as I pursue my career in teaching. So I'm super excited. But yes, I loved my example lessons, and just planning them was so much fun, and making the PowerPoints and thinking of things I could do. So for this one, I just did a handwritten lesson plan and was writing notes and what I needed to bring and everything. So I loved that, and I'm super grateful for the times I had to teach in class. I literally came home and watched my whole entire video, and I was super excited. So I loved it.